I never thought I'd become public enemy number one of an entire homeowners association. But when they blocked access to my dock and laughed in my face, I decided to play a chess game they never saw coming. Today, from my private dock, I'm sipping a cold beer while watching dozens of HOA members standing frustrated by the shore. Unable to fish during the only fishing season of the year, a traditional festival that has existed in this community for over 40 years. Sometimes justice isn't just served in courtrooms, but on your own land with a bit of legal knowledge and a whole lot of patience. By the way, where are you watching this video from? Drop a comment below because this story is about to get way more interesting than you might think. When Lily and I bought her late grandfather's lakefront cabin at Silver Pines, we weren't just buying a house, we were claiming a legacy. The heart of it was a 60-year-old private dock, its weathered planks stretching into the glassy waters of Lake Serenity. As a remote app developer who lives for fishing, I dreamed of launching my boat from that dock at dawn, rod in hand, the world reduced to water and sky. The cabin was a fixer-upper, but the dock, built by Lily's grandfather, Frank Dawson, in 1960, was a work of art. His initials, carved into a support post, stood defiant against decades of sun, storms, and lapping waves. For Lily, it was a portal to childhood summers spent casting lines with her grandpa, her laughter echoing across the lake. For me, it was an escape from endless code and video calls, a place where time slowed, and the only algorithm was the rhythm of the tide. Our first month was pure bliss. I set up my office in the attic, the lake shimmering through a skylight, and wrapped up work early to troll for base from my boat. Neighbors were warm, especially Diego Morales, a retired teacher with a booming laugh who dropped off a basket of homemade salsa and cornbread. "You're in for a treat come summer," he said, eyes twinkling. "The fishing festival's been our pride for 40 years. The Silver Pines Fishing Festival was legendary, a week-long celebration with fishing tournaments, food stalls selling fish tacos and homemade lures, kids learning to cast, and bonfires with live bluegrass under the stars. It drew anglers from 3 counties, fueled local businesses with 30% of their yearly revenue, and wove families together across generations. I was already picturing myself in the bass division, maybe even landing a trophy fish. Then, like a storm rolling in, came the letter. The Silver Pines Homeowners Association demanded I tear down my dock within 30 days, claiming it violated their architectural standards. I was floored. The dock predated the HOA, which wasn't even formed until 1993. I called the HOA president, Vivian Holt, a woman whose voice carried the chill of someone used to getting her way. "Rules are rules, Mr. Hayes," she said, cutting me off. "Your grandfather-in-law's dock was grandfathered, but new ownership voids that exemption. Bring it up to code or remove it." I argued the dock was structurally sound, a piece of history older than her HOA. Her response was a dry, mocking laugh. "This isn't a heritage site, Mr. Hayes. It's Silver Pines. You have 30 days, and the clock's ticking." Her arrogance hit me like a slap. I tried appealing to sentiment, explaining how the dock held Lily's memories of her grandfather. Vivian's reply was pure venom cloaked in politeness. "Take some photos for the family album, dear. Personal attachments don't trump community standards." My blood boiled, but I kept calm. That night, as I hauled trash to the curb under a starlit sky, I overheard Vivian whispering to HOA board member Owen Blake just past my property line. "That dock's a blight from my deck," she hissed, her silhouette sharp against the streetlight. "And we need the shoreline clear for the new festival pier." Owen murmured agreement, and they slipped into the shadows, unaware I'd heard every word. This wasn't about rules, it was a territorial power play. And I'm not one to back down from a fight. The next morning, I transformed my attic office into a war room. Monitors glowed with HOA bylaws, state property laws, and county records as I mainlined coffee. Lily, worried but resolute, brought me a plate of sandwiches and a memory. "Grandpa always said he got every permit for that dock. He was obsessive about it." That sent me diving into the county's digital archives, hunting for 1960s building records. By dusk, I'd struck gold, state law protected pre-HOA structures under grandfathered status, and riparian rights guaranteed my access to the lake for boating and fishing. These weren't flimsy guidelines, they were legal bedrock, backed by decades of precedent. I dug deeper into the fishing festival, learning it was more than a party, it was Silver Pines' lifeblood. Old photos on the local historical society's website showed kids with painted faces clutching fish, vendors selling hand-tied flies, and elders passing down knot-tying tricks. The festival had weathered a 1998 flood, economic slumps, and changing times, uniting families and boosting local diners, tackle shops, and inns. It was the kind of tradition that defined a place, and I wasn't just fighting for my dock, I was fighting for what it represented to this community. I found an ally in Nora Kim, a 73-year-old retired attorney whose neon blue house stood out like a rebel flag among the HOA's beige empire. Vivian had once tried to force Nora to repaint it, claiming it clashed with neighborhood aesthetics. Over tea laced with bourbon, Nora chuckled. I showed her the original bylaws had no color rules. She backed off, but she never forgets a slight. Nora confirmed my legal findings and helped me unearth 1960 permits proving the dock's legitimacy. Armed with this, I drafted a formal letter to the HOA, refusing to comply and attaching my evidence. Within hours, my phone buzzed. It was neighbor Aisha Patel, a soft-spoken nurse. Vivian's vicious, she warned. She fined us over a birdbath for 6 months. Watch your back. 3 days later, the HOA summoned an emergency meeting to address my ongoing violations. Lily, Nora, and I walked into the community center, its walls plastered with festival photos, smiling families, glittering fish, and decades of joy. Vivian sat at a long table, flanked by Owen and 4 other board members, her eyes narrowing at Nora's presence. Mr. Hayes believes his dock is exempt, she said, her voice dripping with sarcasm, emphasizing believes like my rights were a fantasy. I presented my permits and legal citations, but Vivian pivoted. The dock itself isn't the issue, it's the walkway. It crosses 6 feet of HOA common ground, a documented safety hazard. Owen flashed a survey map, and before I could counter, Vivian pushed through a vote to erect a safety fence blocking my boat access. Only Diego Morales abstained, the rest folded. Vivian smirked. Keep your precious dock, Mr. Hayes. You just won't reach it. Days later, as workers hammered a metal fence across my path, Vivian stood nearby, her triumph palpable. I told you you'd lose, she whispered, brushing past. But I'd already filed a complaint with the County Land Management Office, alleging HOA overreach and violation of my riparian rights. An email from County Officer Zara Ali confirmed they were investigating. Over coffee, Zara spread out maps showing the lake and a 15-foot shoreline buffer were state property, not HOA-controlled. Their authority was a house of cards. I dug into Vivian's background, uncovering her financial stake in coastal construction, the company slated to build the festival pier near her property, conveniently preserving her lake view. At Nora's blue house, I met Aisha, Diego, and other frustrated neighbors. Leo Cruz, a former board member, revealed Vivian funneled contracts to her brother's firm without bids. The HOA retaliated, hiking my fines to $250 a day for non-compliance. I reached out to the Department of Natural Resources, DNR, learning the lake might be a base spawning ground. That led me to Dr. Amir Khan, a fish biologist at the State University. After I described base swarming my dock each spring, he agreed to survey the site. We dove in wetsuits, the lake's clarity revealing gravel beds and base nests. Amir cataloged everything, his excitement growing. As we surfaced, Owen watched from shore, phone in hand, reporting to Vivian. This is a major spotted base spawning ground, Amir said, grinning. Perfect temperature, oxygen, gravel, textbook conditions. He warned the pier's proposed site would disrupt it, violating state environmental laws. I contacted DNR Inspector Riley Cohen, who launched an official survey. Mabel Ortiz, an 80-year-old angler who'd fished the lake for decades, backed me up. That spot's been base heaven forever, she said over lemonade at her porch. A pier there would ruin everything. The DNR halted the pier's permit, citing potential habitat damage. Vivian called another meeting, blaming me for sabotaging the festival. The community center was packed, neighbors glaring across aisles. Mr. Hayes' selfishness threatens our 40-year tradition, she declared. She upped my fines to $500 daily and banned me from the clubhouse and pool, even deactivating our gate key fobs. I stood, voice steady. Vivian, why haven't you disclosed your coastal construction deal? Or that the pier skipped its environmental review? The room fell silent. Vivian's face flushed, and she slammed her gavel, adjourning the meeting. But I'd planted seeds of doubt. I took my case to the community forum, posting about the spawning grounds and the pier's threat to the lake's ecosystem, framing it as a fight for their festival's future. The DNR's report confirmed the area around my dock as a critical spawning ground, issuing a 500-foot no fishing, no construction zone across the HOA's lakefront except my dock, deemed low impact due to its age. The festival faced cancellation, a gut punch to Silver Pines. At the next meeting, DNR's Sam Torres set the record straight. James didn't cause this. His alert saved your base population. The pier would have decimated it. Mabel rallied anglers, sharing stories of past festivals and the lake's importance. I offered a deal. I'd open my dock for festival fishing if the HOA removed the fence, dropped the fines, and recognized my rights. Vivian scoffed, "That's blackmail." But Diego stood, his voice booming. "Vivian, you're risking our festival over a vendetta." Board member Ezra Holt called for a no-confidence vote, and the room exploded in shouts. Local reporter Lila Shaw published a bombshell article exposing Vivian's ties to coastal construction and her history of selective rule enforcement. The DNR uncovered past violations under Vivian's watch, like illegal shoreline dredging near her property. Elena Ruiz, a new resident and environmental lawyer, ran against Vivian for HOA president. The vote was a landslide. Vivian was out, Elena was in. Elena's first act was to remove the fence, issue a public apology, and approve a new pier site that wouldn't harm the spawning grounds. Vivian fought back, hiring a high-powered law firm, Carter & Wells, to sue me and the HOA for $750,000, alleging collusion, sabotage, and emotional distress. The 30-page lawsuit landed like a grenade, delivered by a smug process server during our Sunday brunch. Vivian rallied a small posse of loyalists, mostly those tied to the original pier deal, who formed a Save Our Lake group, spreading flyers claiming I was an outsider killing their tradition. Her lawyers trotted out dubious experts who questioned Amir's findings without visiting the lake. The HOA's new board wavered, spooked by legal costs. Our insurance balked at covering the defense, citing HOA dispute exclusions. It was a dark moment, but Nora stepped up, dusting off her legal briefcase. "This is a slap suit," she said, eyes gleaming. "Strategic lawsuit against public participation, meant to scare, not win. We'll crush it." She cited cases where courts tossed similar suits and slapped plaintiffs with fees. The case landed before Judge Carla Vega, a 64-year-old environmental law expert known for her no-nonsense rulings. At the hearing, Vivian's lawyers painted me as a scheming newcomer bent on chaos. Nora countered with evidence, Vivian's coastal construction ties, the DNR's reports, and a paper trail of her rule-bending. Judge Vega's questions cut through the noise, her skepticism of Vivian's claims clear. Outside court, Vivian kept spinning lies, telling neighbors the festival was doomed without her. But as court documents went public, even her staunchest allies drifted away. In a packed courtroom, Judge Vega delivered her ruling, the plaintiff's claims lack merit. Evidence suggests Ms. Holt's leadership violated environmental and ethical standards. She dismissed the case, awarded us legal fees, and referred Vivian's conduct to the county ethics board. Vivian sat frozen, her empire crumbled. Her supporters slipped out, unwilling to back a lost cause. The fishing festival went ahead, reimagined but vibrant. My dock became the launchpad, with colorful buoys marking protected spawning zones. Volunteers in kayaks guided boats, and Lily set up a dockside welcome station with coffee, donuts, and eco-pamphlets. The fishing was phenomenal. Protected spawning grounds meant bigger, bolder bass, with record catches lighting up social media. Amir's university team ran interactive exhibits, underwater footage of bass nests, microscopes showing lake plankton, and catch-and-release demos. Kids flocked to it, their excitement infectious. The festival drew bigger crowds than ever, proving tradition could evolve. The DNR fined Vivian for past violations, like illegal weed treatments, and ordered her to fund shoreline restoration. Under Elena's leadership, the HOA adopted transparent rules and a homeowner-friendly vibe. The new pier, built in a safe spot, featured signs about sustainable fishing. Vivian sold her house and left town, her legacy in tatters. At a dockside barbecue, neighbors laughed and fished as the sun dipped low. Elena raised a glass, to James, for saving our lake. Nora winked, bullies don't expect you to fight smart. If an HOA's bullying you, drop a comment, I'll share legal tricks to shut them down. Where are you watching from? Hit like, share, and subscribe for more stories of beating bullies. This is just the beginning.